It's useful to be able to evaluate some code based on a certain set of conditions, as we just saw with the while and repeat while loops. The while loops, though, are an all or nothing form of logic. While the plane is taking off, you have to have your seatbelt fastened. What about in situations where, depending on a condition, something happens, but in the absence of that condition, something else happens? Like if it's sunny, let's go to the beach. Otherwise, if it's not sunny, let's go for a movie. Of course, we have a programming construct to model that as well. Let's take a look at an if statement. I'm going to remove this console from the bottom so that we have more room to work with. And as always, we'll start with a comment marker. So we are going to cover if statements. An if statement works just like it does in real life, and its syntax looks like this. We start with the keyword if. Then we provide a condition to evaluate. We start the body of the statement with a pair of braces, and then provide the code we'd like to execute. This is the simplest form of an if statement. If the condition we provide evaluates to true, then the body of the statement is executed. Keep in mind, if and only if the condition is true does the code get executed. Otherwise, it doesn't get executed at all. Let's take a look at another hypothetical example. Let's say we're building a weather app, a simple one, that tells you what to wear each morning. We keep track of the weather with a variable called temperature, and we'll set it to some default value. So var temperature equal, let's say, 22. Mind you, this is Celsius. I grew up using it and still haven't wrapped my head around Fahrenheit. Now, what I want this app to tell users is if the temperature is below, let's say, 18 degrees, wear a light sweater. We can easily do this using an if statement. We'll say if temperature less than 18, then open the brace of the if statement. You'll notice that we're using the comparison operator we learned about earlier. Here we're saying if the value of temperature drops below 18, then do something. So in here, let's print out a statement. We'll say print, it's getting chilly. Not really, I'm just using arbitrary temperatures. I recommend wearing a light sweater. Quite easy, right? But this weather app would be pointless if all it said was to wear a light sweater. What about scenarios where the temperature is higher than 18, like in our case? The next step up in an if statement is an else clause. If the condition in an if statement evaluates to false, then the statements in the else clause are executed. The syntax for the else clause is simple as well. After the closing brace of the if clause, we write the keyword else, and then use another set of braces to denote the body of the else clause. So let's add that to our code. So if the temperature is below 18, we wear a light sweater. Otherwise, we can say the t-shirt is fine. So we'll write the keyword else, and in here we'll say print. Now we'll do this the same way as we did earlier. We write the else keyword and then use a set of braces. Inside the braces, we can add our code. So here we'll say it feels great outside. A t-shirt will do. Now you'll see at the bottom that it says it feels great outside, a t-shirt will do, and that's because since our temperature is above 18 degrees, the first condition, the if statement, is not evaluated, and we step into the else clause. But what we wear isn't so black and white. It's not like we only wear a light sweater below 18 degrees, and above it we wear a t-shirt. At different temperature ranges, we wear certain things. Luckily, the third step in an if-else statement is to provide other conditional branches. And we do this using a compound keyword else if. Let's add another statement to our conditional. So right after the closing brace of the if statement, I'll make some room in here, and I'll say else if temperature is less than 12, then print
it's getting cold. Let's get that jacket out. And we'll move this back up here. So this is what a fully featured if statement looks like. We start with an if and a single condition. If that condition evaluates to true, then we execute the code inside the braces. If not, we jump to the next statement. If this is a simple two-choice situation, the next statement is an else clause, and we can execute the code in its body. If we're using an if-else statement, a two-choice statement, and the if is not executed, whatever the other case is, we simply go into the else clause and execute the code in there. However, we can also provide multiple conditions to evaluate against. In fact, as many as we want, by using an else-if statement or an else-if branch. The compiler will keep checking each condition until one of them evaluates to true. If none of the list of branches evaluate to true, then the else clause is executed by default. Let's change this temperature variable now to something like 9 degrees. Based on what we've learned so far, we should get a message about wearing a jacket, right? Instead, what you should see at the bottom is it says it's getting chilly, I recommend wearing a light sweater. What's going on? The way if-else statements work is that the moment any one of the conditions is evaluated to true, then we stop checking completely and execute the statements within that clause. In our example, the temperature is 9 degrees, and since this is below 12, you'd think that we jump to that clause, right? Well, no, we don't, because we satisfy the first condition as well. 9 is lower than 18, so the first statement evaluates to true, and we instruct our users to wear a light sweater. There are two ways we can solve this. One is to rearrange the conditions so that each check logically follows the other. In our case, we can move the temperature less than 12 check to be the first statement. So I'm going to copy everything in here, and then I'll move it to the top and I'll say if, and print that out. I'll paste it in here, and then we'll get rid of everything here. Oops, not that. We'll get rid of everything in the else if because that's at the top now. And here we'll say else if temperature is less than 18. And now everything should work as expected. If it's less than 12, then we get a jacket. If it's not less than 12, but less than 18, then we wear a sweater. Otherwise, a t-shirt will do.
Our second option is to make our checks more robust. And to do that, we're going to learn a few new operators. Let's do that in the next video.